You're listening to the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman, episode 159. Well, hi and welcome to this episode of the Small and Supercharged podcast. It is a solo, and I'm going to a few episodes ago, if you haven't listened, it's a good one, she says. I did an episode all about how to pitch to be on a podcast because I receive quite a few podcast pitches each week. Most of the people I have never had anything to do with, never would have anything to do with, don't even know me. They have just seen where the podcast is ranking and they've decided they want to get in on that, which is fine. But obviously I don't even reply to those people. But there are so many amazing stories out there. There are so many amazing people who have got really cool stories to share and tell. And that through sharing and telling their stories, they're going to help other people. I wanted to basically help those people, not just pitch to me, but pitch to podcasts and basically pitch for opportunities that were going to work for them. And actually from that one, I've had 3 incredible pitches and have recorded 3 podcasts. You haven't heard them all yet, but it was great. But then I got thinking about other things I get asked a lot. And one of them was how to pitch to be a brand ambassador. How can you as a person, as someone who wants to work with brands, pitch to be a brand ambassador? And I actually thought what I'd do is I would go through a few steps and also kind of roughly outline, a bit like I did with the podcast one, the kind of stuff you want to include when you reach out to that brand and you pitch to them. Because it's really important that you do it right to just get yourself in the arena. And I want to help you because a bit like with the podcast, although brands will receive loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of emails, DMs, whatever, from people who would never be a great ambassador for them, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, it's just the truth. There are some absolute gems out there who perhaps get overlooked because they aren't pitching well, they're not presenting themselves well. But unlike other people, they've actually got all the key bits there that are going to make them exceptional brand ambassadors if they present themselves properly so they get that foot in the door, they're in the arena, whatever analogy you want to use. And I want to help you do that. Because firstly, I like seeing good people win. Not so fussed about the not good people, but the good people, I like to see good people win. And there are some amazing influencers out there that I see regularly who I think you're an absolute diamond. You are an absolute diamond and you should be working with whoever you want who's amazing. But also from a brand point of view, because if we work through how to put together a good pitch and we think about what we're doing, it's going to be better for the brands because they're going to get to see what you're about. They're going to get to see the value they're going to get from working with you. And hopefully they can potentially start working with you in a faster way, which will be more beneficial for them. And everyone's going to win. And I like it when everybody wins. So that is what today's podcast is all about. How to pitch to be a brand ambassador. So again, a little bit like the podcast one. If you haven't listened to the podcast one, whiz back. It wasn't an awfully long time ago, but whiz back and have a listen. It's a good episode. And to be honest, a lot of the theories we're going to repeat the outline here, but obviously with a different slant to be a brand ambassador. So the first thing really is, before you even consider approaching a brand, before you consider pitching to be a brand ambassador, you need to do the work. You need to put in a considerable amount of work before you even write that email. And I know that might sound like there's an awful lot to do, but you need to stand out because it is crowded out there. We know it's busy on social media. It is crowded from a brand ambassador sponsored rider point of view as well, because brands get bombarded by people wanting free stuff. Simple as that. And I know you're not like that. I know you just don't want free stuff. I know you want to work with the brands. And I know that you want to make this a longer term relationship. But you are competing with people who just want free stuff, who don't put the thought in, who don't actually apply themselves and think about it. So you need to work harder, which I know is vexing. It's the same with everything though. To stand out, you have to put in the work. And although it is galling, it's not galling, although it's perhaps galling when others get opportunities when they haven't put on the work, from a longer term basis, you are in the better position. Promise. I am sure of this. So, you need to put in the work. And when I say put in the work, you need to be following them. Please follow them on their social media, because if you approach a brand and you're not following them and you say, I love your account, and you don't follow them, it looks really bad. So follow them. And don't think, oh, I'll follow them on a Tuesday and I will message them about working with them on a Wednesday. No, follow them and let it take its course. You're not asking them to marry you on the first date, okay? You need to build a relationship, because if you haven't built that relationship and you go in and you ask them for something, just apply it to normal life. You see someone for the first time ever and you go up and you say, I need your bag. They're going to think you're crazy. Admittedly, if any of my friends came and asked for my bag, I'd still be a little bit concerned about what they were doing with it, but I'd probably willingly give it to them because I trust them. I've got that faith in them. I know them. So you need to put the work in. So make sure you are following them on all of the platforms. Comment. Engage with their content. Put the effort in to make sure, not everything like a stalker. It needs to be authentic and genuine. But when you see some content of theirs and you think, God, that's a really cool this or a really nice that, tell them. Not in a, oh, and I'd like you to give it to me. Just say, love what you've done there. Like you would do. What we need to do, even though we're going through steps like this, which can feel a little bit contrived, these are our normal interactions that we should be having with people that we like anyway, okay? So you see something you like, you tell them, you double tap, you leave a comment, you comment on a story, you engage with them that way. Put in the work, okay? It's important that you actually do like what they're doing. If they put a post and you hate it, don't say you love it. It needs to be authentic and genuine at all times. But rather than doing what I think so many of us do now, and we see content and we nod and we smile as it flies past us as we're scrolling, stop and make that interaction, because it is going to serve you well. The thing is as well, if you want to be working with a brand and you want to approach them at some point and say, I love what you're doing, I love your X, I love your Y. In order to love something, you probably should own it. And in that case, it means that you would need to buy it and you would need to have some experience of that product, because what you're saying by doing that is a couple of things. Well, actually more than a few things. First of all, if you have bought that product, when you move through to the stage where you are pitching to that brand and you are speaking to that brand, you can show genuine real life experience that you have with that product or service or whatever. If you haven't bought the product, if you haven't used the product, eaten the product, fed the product, whatever, how on earth do you know that you love it? It could be absolutely rubbish. I'm sure it isn't. It could be. And if you're putting your name behind a product that you don't believe in, then you're really, in my opinion, not treating your fans and followers with the respect they deserve either, because you're saying, this is great, I wouldn't use it. You use it. It's blooming awful. I wouldn't use it. I wouldn't have it anywhere near me. But you can. It's not good. Every interaction we have, I'm quite passionate about this. It has to be real. It has to be honest, authentic, genuine. So you need to, before you even consider putting your name by a brand, you need to make sure you actually like it. You've actually done the work and you like the product. You like the brand's ethos. You need to do this research and it will come in useful later. But if you have bought the brand, if you bought products from the brand, you're engaging with them, you've bought products from the brand, you're trying the products, you're testing the products that you have bought. Brilliant. Because also, if you like the products, and you would happily recommend them to your fans and followers, you can then start to tag them in posts, you can start to add them in stories, you can start to do information around what you're doing. And this doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go, oh, have all the contents of the warehouse. But not only are you sharing good, genuine content with your fans and followers that they're going to find useful. If you really rate this thing that you've bought and your fans and followers are into the same thing, which they likely are, that's going to be really valuable for them. It will flag you to the brand because they will see on their stories or on their tags that you have tagged them, which is great. And it will also start to show the brand what kind of content you create. So whether you're amazing on stories, you do insanely good reels, you love a good video, you do lives talking about things, it will start to showcase you to the brand. So when you then move through to your pitch, you've actually already got some evidence. You've kind of started to build a portfolio, really, of what you can do for them, which is really, really valuable. And it's important. It's important that you start to do this, because instead of saying to a brand, a little bit further down the road, I can do all these things, you can say instead, as you can see, I've done all this stuff and I'd love to do more. It's a different offer, because rather than saying, well, I suppose I could do this, we know you can do it because they've seen you do it, which is really, really valuable. Now, all of this stuff, it shouldn't just be a one-off. So it shouldn't be Monday you follow them, Tuesday you tag them, Wednesday you ask for all the things. Think about building it up. And it's good to get you in their eye line a few times, because if you are looking as a brand to invest in somebody as an ambassador, you want that longevity. People that change their opinion like the wind, in my opinion and my view, are not anywhere near as valuable as those who've got the staying power, because you need to watch them like hawks. Because they say one day your brand's the best and the next day a competitor's brand's the best, and it's really difficult from a brand point of view to invest in that. It's also very confusing from a fan or follower point of view, because at the end of the day, what do they even like? Because it's difficult to get a read on that when someone's changing their mind all the time. So it is important to integrate into your daily life as well, because if you get to the point where you are going to be working with that brand, the easiest way for you to make content is if you can integrate the product into your daily life. It just is. You can say it's an ad, whatever, moving forward if you do work with them. But the best way to make content easily and effortlessly is by integrating it into your daily life. So start doing that now. And it also shows the brand that you really do use their product. Is it on the shelf somewhere? Is it by the sink where it should be? Rather than, oh no, I've just brought it out for a special occasion. Now the thing is, it is important to do all these things. It's important to really cement that relationship and think about it like dating if you want. You're putting in the work to build that relationship, because we are going to go in for a big ask. We are going to go in and ask them to essentially align their brand that they are really protective over, quite rightly, that they have grown, nurtured, developed. We're asking them to align their name with your name. That's a big thing. And also, not only are we asking them to do that, we're asking them to pick you out of a sea of other people. It is a bit like finding the perfect partner, isn't it? It's a big ask. Now, you're obviously prepared to give for this, but it's a big thing. So put the time in to do this, because it will help you. And it will also, in my experience, even if the answer is no, it's much more likely to be a no for now, rather than a no, never bother me again. And also, you have still built that relationship, and that is something that you can maintain, because if you love the products as much as you should do if you want to be a brand ambassador, you'll be using them anyway. So it might just be something that in the future you can revisit. Maybe you have a slightly different vibe going on. Maybe you've got a different focus. Maybe you've got a different thing that's incorporated into your content that you can think about a really cool campaign for. There's lots of opportunities when it's done well, because you've still got those foundations in place. So we do all that stuff. That's all going well, and we keep going with it. We don't just do it once. We have we do it again and again. We integrate these products. We put the effort in, and hopefully some of those interactions will have led to the brand interacting with you too. So if they have put up a story and you say, absolutely love that, such a cool colour, absolutely love that, what a great idea for summer, whatever you've said, hopefully, in a perfect world, they'll double tap or they'll thank you or whatever. And you've got the opportunity to get into a discussion with them then, which is really valuable too. But what you could also do in one of these interactions, ideally, when you've done it a few times, ideally, is say, I'm sure you get millions of requests, but I would love to have a discussion with somebody about working with you on a more formal basis. I would love to have the opportunity to share your product better with my fans and followers. Who would be the right contact for that? And would you be able to help me with how to get in touch with them? Now, hopefully what will happen is they'll say, absolutely, you need to speak to Jane. I always pick on Janes in these podcasts. I don't mean to. You need to speak to Jane. This is Jane's email address. Thanks so much, whatever. And you've then got the right contact. So you're not just sending it to an info at, you're sending it to Jane at whatever.com. Brilliant. That's valuable information, which means that then you can send a personalised email to Jane about it. And you can say that you've been interacting on Instagram or interacting on Facebook, and you can start to paint the picture of yourself being the true, engaged, interested follower that you are. So now we have got Jane's email address, which is exciting. And now we can send her an email. Now, when I used to be a marketing manager, we used to get a lot of emails from people wanting sponsorship. And one of the things that really sticks in my head was the length of some of them. People who deal with this kind of thing for a job, people who are in marketing departments, who deal with sponsorship, brand ambassadorship, social media marketing, we're all busy. Everyone's busy, right? But we're all busy. So whilst it's important to get the key information across, it's also important to be aware that you don't need a 10-page email as your intro. Because hopefully the conversation will progress and you'll be able to feed different bits of content, different bits of information even, out through follow-up interactions. So you don't need to tell them that you started your passion for whatever at the age of 3 and then track that for the next 30 years. It's not massively valuable to a brand. So I've sort of drafted, you can't see my facial expression, I've written some notes on how I would like to receive a pitch for somebody wanting to be a brand ambassador for a brand that I work with. So the first thing is I want it to say my name at the top or the name of the company I was working with, like not the name of the company, sorry, the name of the contact at the company. So Jane, hi Jane, rather than dear Sir Madam. Or a few podcasts back, we chatted to Flo Carter, who had hers as Dear Sir Madam when she's clearly not a Sir. So, Dear Jane, or Hi Jane. So, first of all, you've got that personal contact in. And then a nice greeting. So, I would say something, you don't have to do this, but something like, I hope this email finds you well. The lovely person who runs your social media account sent me your email as I was asking about developing my relationship to insert name of brand. I absolutely adore your latest collection, or I use your X, Y, and Z products on my whatever, and I just think they're insane. Maybe not insane. I just think they're incredible. I use them all the time. I feature them on my social a lot, and my audience really love it. So we've then explained why we're contacting them. We've referenced a few things there that show that we haven't just decided one day that we want all their products. We've actually put that in. And then I would want to explain a bit of the connection to the brand and why you love it. So I first found your product 5 years ago in my local shop, and I've used it ever since. It really helped this, and this, and I really love this, and this, and I've also gone on to purchase this, and this, and my fans. So tell them a bit about why you love the products, why it's good. Show some knowledge of the brand and the product and how it's helped your whatever, depending. I'm being vague because it depends on the product, doesn't it? But show them you've got a real understanding of it. If you want to reference anything about the brand's ethos that you've picked up from your research, maybe they're massively into being eco-friendly or sustainable. Perhaps they have got a big, support of charity. Maybe they work closely with different associations. If that is relevant for you and it is something that you've learned, that you've been interested in, chuck it in, put it in, make it relevant and personalised for you and for them too. Then you can explain who you are, but do not send them 8 pages about this. Explain who you are, what you do, your following size, your engagement rates, and the kind of content you like to create. Then I would go into what you can do for them. So you'll notice as yet, we haven't said we want all these things. We've said basically, hi, nice to meet you. I really like what you do. I use these things. I really understand the brand and the product. This is me. This is why I'm useful. Maybe a bit about your audience. And then what can you do for them? What kind of content do you like to create? What kind of content gets high engagement? What stuff can you do that will make their life easier? Tell them. Where is your particular area of expertise? Do you have loads and loads of views every time you post a reel? Do people love your lives? Do people watch your vlogs the second they go up and you get loads of swipes up? What is going on? Why should they be involved with you, and what can you do to help them? Tell them. Share a few ideas. You don't have to share all the ideas, because obviously if you're not working with someone, you don't want to give them all your ideas. But share a few things that you think, actually, this could be really cool. I could do this really well. My audience would love it. The brand would love it. Ticks all the boxes. That is cool. That is good to share. So think about that. What could you do for them? Again, not 8 pages, but enough detail. So it's concise, but it's enough detail in there that will make it valuable and useful for the brand. And then you thank them for their time, thank them for reading down to the bottom. That always makes me feel happy when someone says, thanks so much for reading this. And I think, you're welcome. Because again, if you've got 20, 30, 40 emails to get through and you've got a massive email, it's quite overwhelming, because you think, oh my God, if I've got 40 like this, I'm never leaving the office again. So thank them for reading down to that point and say, you'd love to have a discussion with them about it. If there was a time they could jump on a call or whatever, you would really welcome the opportunity to discuss with them more. Thank them very much. Sign yourself off. So it's simple, right? But to me, I love receiving emails like this, because it's got all the information I need to make a considered judgment. Have they mentioned the right company? Because I have genuinely had emails before when they've addressed it to a competitor company. Never do that. That's really bad. They've referenced the person behind the brand. They've referenced something about the shows they've been following for a little while. I love that. Because it also shows it's not just a 1-minute wonder. They've shown their understanding of the brand and product, which if I'm looking for an ambassador for a company, that's really important to me, because I don't want my client to have to educate this person who's meant to be a fan and follower about stuff they're meant to already know. It's a bit of a waste of everyone's time. So again, think about it like that. You've explained who you are, so I know your following size. You've put your social media handles in there so I can go and have a look and have to guess. And I can go and have a look if I want to. You've given me a few ideas of how we could work together, which again, from a marketeer, I love that phrase, marketeer, it makes me think of musketeer, point of view, that's reduced my workload a bit, which is a win. And you've invited a next step. So to me, that is really strong. And I believe that if you pitch like that, even if it is a no, it is much more likely to be a no for now rather than just a straight up no. And something that I think it was Beth Sen, when she was on the podcast, was saying, if it is a no, you can always ask for feedback. What would be useful to you? What would help you as a brand? They may not reply. It depends on how busy they are. But again, I have, not with being a brand ambassador for people, because it's not really my bag. But if someone asked me, if I received this email, I'm like, oh, I'd love to, but I don't have any budget at the moment, or not for now, but thank you. And they said, can you give me any pointers? If it was a nice email, I'd probably do it. I probably would give them some pointers about how they could improve what they're doing, because I just do. So, it's not necessarily about the short win here. It can sometimes be about the longer game, and that can be massively valuable too. So there is how to pitch for your brand ambassador. and also how the work starts before. And of course, nothing guarantees you success because you don't know everything else that's going on for that brand behind the scenes, which is clearly annoying. But I do genuinely think that following this sort of rough idea is much, much more likely to increase your chance of success. And it will definitely increase your chance of success rather than sending them an email saying, sponsor me, ? No one likes that. That's not going to work for anyone. Just saying. So I hope that has helped you. If you are interested in any of this stuff, my rider course could be for you. This is a course I have created, a digital course, study at your own pace, all that good stuff for riders to help them improve their own social media and attract what they want from it, whether that is brand ambassadorships and sponsorships, whether it's more followers, or whether it's more rides, people to coach, etc., etc. To find out more about that, you can pop on over to riafreemanpr.co.uk and it's on the Work With Me tab, which is one of the drop downs. Thank you so much for listening to me today. I really do appreciate your time as always, and I can't wait to catch up with you next week. Take care.